Once upon a time, in ancient times before the world was shaped as we know it, a war in the heavens changed the destiny of all beings. This is the forbidden story of the fallen angels, a tale hinted at in the Bible but deserving to be told. In the early days of the celestial realm, there reigned light and perfect harmony. God, in his infinite wisdom, created the angels, beings of pure divine energy and unmatched power. Among them stood out Lucifer, whose name meant bearer of light. He was the most beautiful and brilliant of all celestial beings, God's favorite and the ultimate symbol of perfection and glory. However, Lucifer's greatness did not fully satisfy him. In his heart, a new feeling began to sprout, a seed of ambition that no other angel had known. He questioned why he should serve when he could reign. Over time, Lucifer nurtured this feeling and began to sow doubts among the other angels. He argued that they should be free to determine their own destinies, not simply follow divine orders. Gradually, Lucifer managed to attract followers to his cause. He convinced other angels that divine authority was not absolute and that they could establish their own kingdom, where their will would be law. This rebellion movement grew to unprecedented proportions in heaven, fueled by the promise of freedom and autonomy. Thus, the celestial realm found itself divided for the first time. On one side were those loyal to God, who defended order and harmony under his sovereign will. On the other, Lucifer and his followers, who yearned for a world where they could be their own masters. The beginning of the rebellion marked not only a celestial conflict but also a rupture in the previously unquestionable perfection of the celestial realm. From this point on, the consequences of the rebellion began to unfold, casting shadows over what was once pure light. The rebellion led by Lucifer unleashed a series of cataclysmic events in the celestial realm, culminating in the Great War in heaven. On one side were the angels loyal to God, led by the archangel Michael, known as the celestial warrior, whose fiery sword was feared by all celestial beings. On the other side stood Lucifer and his rebel followers, determined to defy divine order and establish their own realm of freedom and autonomy. The battles that ensued went beyond any conflict ever seen in celestial domains. The thunderous sound of swords clashing echoed through the heavens, while streams of divine energy illuminated the firmament. Angels who had once been brothers now faced each other with fury and determination, divided by the conflict that shook the foundations of paradise itself. Amidst the chaos of battle, Michael and Lucifer met in an epic duel. The bright light emanating from their beings mingled with the shadows of the dark clouds forming in the sky, symbolizing the conflict between good and evil, loyalty and rebellion. Michael, with his fiery sword raised against Lucifer, faced his adversary with courage and conviction, determined to restore divine order. Despite Lucifer's tenacity and the ferocity of his rebel allies, divine justice prevailed. With a decisive blow of his sword, Michael dealt a final strike against Lucifer, whose fallen brilliance was overshadowed by the radiant light of celestial justice. The rebel angels were defeated, their wings of light tainted by the darkness of imminent fall. Thus, the heavens witnessed not only a physical battle but a clash of principles and cosmic powers. The rebel angels were expelled from paradise, cast into a tumultuous descent towards the endless abyss, where their rebellion and desires for autonomy were condemned to eternity of separation from the divine presence. The Great War in heaven marked a moment of transformation in the celestial domains, a scar on the previously untouched perfection of the celestial realm. The fall of the rebel angels marked one of the most catastrophic events in the annals of celestial history. After their defeat in the Great War in heaven, Lucifer and his followers were expelled from celestial domains to a dark and desolate realm known as Hell. In this place of pain and despair, the transformation of the fallen angels was profound and cruel. From beings of resplendent light, the fallen angels were enveloped by a darkness tainted by resentment and bitterness. Their angelic forms distorted, and their wings of light became black shadows that could no longer sustain them in the heavens. The brilliance that once adorned their celestial essences now turned into an aura of torment and malevolence. But the fall was not only physical, it was spiritual and emotional. The fallen angels lost not only their celestial home but also their direct connection to divinity. The divine presence that once filled them with the fullness of its being was now a distant memory, replaced by a penetrating void of isolation and self-condemnation. However, even in this realm of darkness and hopelessness, the flame of rebellion burned incessantly in the hearts of the fallen angels. Lucifer, now transformed into Lucifer, the fallen bearer of light, became the herald of a dark promise. One day, they would return. They swore to avenge those who expelled them from the heavens, nurturing a burning desire for retaliation against the divine justice that condemned them to their new infernal reality. Thus, the fall of the angels was not only the end of an era of celestial perfection, but the beginning of a saga of rebellion and cosmic conflict that would echo through the ages. In the dark recesses of hell, the fallen angels gathered under Lucifer's leadership, patiently awaiting the opportune moment to fulfill their promise of return and once again challenge divine dominion over the heavens and the earth. With the expulsion of Lucifer and the rebel angels, the celestial realm plunged into a period of reorganization and deep reflection. God, in his infinite wisdom, recognized the need to restore the peace and harmony that had been shaken by the rebellion. New responsibilities were delegated to the remaining archangels and angels, each assuming fundamental roles in maintaining divine order. Michael, the valorous and faithful archangel, was elevated to the position of supreme leader of the celestial armies. His fiery sword, now a symbol not only of his power but also of divine justice, became the bastion against any future threat to paradise. Under his leadership, the remaining angels were organized into an impenetrable formation, ready to defend the celestial realm against any forces that challenged God's will. Meanwhile, the memory of the Great War in heaven served as a solemn reminder for all angels. The epic conflict and its painful consequences remained engraved in celestial consciousness, warning of the dangers of succumbing to ambition and pride. The scar of rebellion not only marked the sky with its dark memories but also strengthened the determination of the angels to remain loyal to divinity and the laws that governed their celestial home. Paradise, now free from Lucifer's corrupting influence, shone with a new light. Every star in the heavens gleamed with renewed intensity, reflecting the restoration of divine order and purity. The angels, though aware of the shadows of the past, looked to the future with renewed hope and an unwavering commitment to protect the celestial perfection entrusted to them. Thus, the new order in heaven not only restored peace but also reaffirmed the supremacy of God's will over all things. The celestial realm became not only a place of indescribable beauty but also a bastion of eternal justice, where the vigilant archangels and angels maintained constant guard against any threat that could disturb celestial tranquility. Transformed into demons and banished to earth, the fallen angels saw in humans a strategic opportunity. They recognized that humans, though fragile compared to celestial powers, possessed a unique capacity for growth and evolution. With this in mind, Lucifer and his followers decided to intervene directly in the lives of mortals. Through dreams, visions, and even physical manifestations, the demons began offering pacts to humans. They promised power, knowledge, and even longevity in exchange for loyalty and worship. These pacts gave rise to cults and sects dedicated to occult and dark arts, where power-hungry humans surrendered themselves to the teachings of the demons. The followers of the fallen angels received extraordinary abilities, manipulating hidden energies and performing feats that defied natural laws. Using these powers, they influenced kingdoms, instigated wars, and altered the course of human history. Civilizations that succumbed to the temptations of the demons found themselves plunged into chaos and disorder, straying from the harmony and balance that heaven represented. Thus, the fallen angels spread seeds of discord and corruption in the heart of humanity, exploiting their weaknesses and deepest desires. This chapter not only reveals the dark secrets behind historical events but also illuminates the persistent battle between good and evil that transcends time and space, a battle in which mortals are both spectators and participants. One of the deepest and most intriguing secrets found in biblical narrative is the existence of the Nephilim, briefly mentioned in the book of Genesis. These beings were a hybrid race, born from the union between fallen angels and human daughters. The Nephilim not only captured the imagination of readers over the centuries but also left an indelible mark on mythology and culture. Physically impressive, the Nephilim were described as giants, possessing colossal stature and superhuman strength that set them apart from ordinary humans. In addition to their physical robustness, they were endowed with extraordinary intelligence, making them natural leaders and formidable strategists. They walked among mortals as almost divine beings, both feared and revered by those who witnessed their presence. The Nephilim were not merely static figures in history. They were active in the society and politics of their times. They dominated tribes and nations, exerting power and influence that challenged traditional power structures. Their deeds and achievements were recorded in myths and legends, reflecting the profound impact they had on the peoples of the earth. However, the existence of the Nephilim soon became a concern for both celestial angels and God. The celestial beings saw in the Nephilim a potential threat to the established divine order, as they represented not only a forbidden mixture between the celestial and human worlds, but also the possibility of an army that could be used to challenge heaven once again. For the fallen angels, the Nephilim were seen as a strategic opportunity. In these hybrid beings, they saw the possibility of creating a military force powerful enough for an eventual confrontation against the celestial hosts. Thus, the fallen angels not only influenced the creation of the Nephilim but also used them as instruments in their plans to subvert the divine order and restore their lost position in the heavenly kingdom. The history of the Nephilim is not only a fascinating mystery of antiquity but also a powerful reminder of the complexities and consequences of interactions between the divine and the human. Their existence continues to be a subject of debate and speculation, fueling imagination and inspiring diverse interpretations of their role in the grand cosmic drama between heaven and earth. The presence of the Nephilim and the growing corruption of humanity led God to make a drastic decision: the Great Flood. This cataclysm, described in biblical narrative as a flood that covered the entire earth, had a clear and undeniable purpose: to cleanse the world of the influence of fallen angels and their hybrid descendants. The magnitude of this catastrophe went beyond any known natural calamity, representing not only a punishment but also an attempt to restore the purity and original order of divine creation. God chose Noah, a righteous and upright man amid growing human depravity, to build an ark and preserve life on earth. With his family, Noah was spared from the imminent destruction that befell the rest of humanity. Additionally, every species of animal was brought onto the ark to ensure their survival during the flood, ensuring the continuity of life on earth after the cataclysm. For the fallen angels, the flood represented a devastating blow to their plans and influence over mortals. Many of the Nephilim, these powerful and feared beings, perished in the relentless waters that flooded the earth, their gigantic bodies submerged and their ambitions thwarted. The hope of the fallen angels to use the Nephilim as instruments to challenge heaven was submerged with them, leaving the celestial survivors on the brink of defeat and despair. However, despite the apparent extinction of the Nephilim, biblical narrative leaves room for speculation and theories. Some believe that not all Nephilim were completely eliminated by the flood. There are reports and legends suggesting that some may have survived, hiding in the deepest shadows of the earth and awaiting the opportune moment to resurface and continue their mission to challenge the divine. The flood was not just an event of destruction, but also of renewal. It marked a crucial point in human history and in the relationship between God and his created beings. It was a divine reset, an attempt to restore order and purity to the earth after centuries of corruption and malignant influence. For believers, it represents not only divine justice but also the hope of a fresh start and the promise of a future guided by God's will. Even after the flood, the influence of fallen angels and their descendants did not completely disappear. Adapting their strategies, these malignant beings began to operate more covertly, infiltrating human societies and inspiring new forms of idolatry, black magic, and heresies that spread across various cultures over the centuries. The demons, once powerful and visible in their direct manifestations, learned to whisper in the ears of men, manipulating minds and hearts to instigate wars, betrayals, and sins of every kind. Behind obscure cults and occult practices, they continued to exert their corrupting influence over human beings, leading many astray from the path of virtue and truth. The presence of the Nephilim, though reduced after the flood, was never completely eradicated. Legends about giants, mythical heroes, and beings of great power continued to emerge in various cultures around the world. These narratives suggest that hybrids of angels and humans, once considered extinct, still walked among mortals, influencing events in subtle and dangerous ways. Thus, the persistence of evil is a recurring theme in traditions and mythologies around the world. Even with the divine design of purification through the flood, the battle between good and evil, between the divine and the malign, continues to shape the course of human history. For many, stories of corruption, idolatry, and demonic intervention serve as constant reminders of the dangers that lurk when humans stray from the light of truth and succumb to the temptations of evil. Therefore, the persistence of evil not only reveals the complexity of the spiritual cosmos but also underscores the importance of spiritual vigilance and fidelity to ethical and moral principles. As the world continues to face challenges and adversities, the history of persistent evil reminds us of the ongoing need to resist corrupting influences and to seek redemption through faith, hope, and virtuous action. Ancient civilizations such as Babylon, Egypt, and Greece were deeply shaped and influenced by fallen angels, whose presence and influence permeated not only their religious beliefs but also their political, social, and cultural structures. In Babylon, the fallen angels inspired the Babylonians to build the famous Tower of Babel. This colossal monument was a bold attempt by humanity to reach the heavens and directly challenge divine authority. The demons, seducing Babylonian leaders with promises of power and glory, influenced the construction of the tower as a symbol of pride and arrogance. However, the divine response was swift and severe. God confused the languages of the builders, leading to the dispersion of humanity across the world. This event not only thwarted the plans of the fallen angels but also served as a powerful reminder of the futility of challenging divine will. In ancient Egypt, the fallen angels presented themselves as gods to gain worship and influence over the people. Divine figures such as Ra, Isis, and Osiris were not just mythological figures but representations of fallen celestial beings masquerading as gods to manipulate and control the Egyptians. The pharaohs, believing themselves to be direct descendants of these gods, ruled based on a theocratic system, using the occult knowledge taught by the demons to build grand monuments like the pyramids. Egyptian religion, filled with complex rituals and beliefs in the afterlife, reflected the deep influence of fallen angels on Egyptian culture and society. In ancient Greece, the fallen angels influenced Greek mythology, transforming into the well-known gods of Olympus. Each god and goddess represented aspects of human and divine nature, reflecting the interests and manipulations of the demons. Zeus, the powerful lord of the gods, Hera, the jealous queen, and Poseidon, the ruler of the seas, were all figures based on celestial beings who interfered in human lives, often causing conflicts and dramas that mirrored the whims and rivalries of the fallen angels themselves. Greek mythological stories, full of divine intrigues, forbidden loves, and epic battles, served as a means to teach morality and explain natural phenomena, while also perpetuating the demons' influence over Greek imagination and culture. The influence of fallen angels over ancient empires was profound and enduring, shaping not only their religious and mythological beliefs but also their social and political structures. The presence of these fallen celestial beings continues to echo through the ages, reminding us of the ongoing battle between the divine and the malevolent in human history. As the Roman Empire expanded its dominion over vast regions of Europe, Asia, and Africa, the fallen angels continued to exert a sinister influence over its leaders and events. The worship of Roman gods, many of whom were directly influenced by Greek deities, perpetuated the presence of demons in positions of power and influence. Grand temples were erected in honor of pagan gods, while festivals, such as gladiatorial games and orgies, fueled the moral and spiritual decadence that permeated Roman society. However, a new and powerful force began to emerge on the historical stage: Christianity. The coming of Jesus Christ and his message of love, redemption, and forgiveness represented a direct threat to the dominion of the fallen angels. While the demons tried to stifle this new faith by inciting brutal persecutions against Christians, the flame of faith continued to burn intensely. Christianity gradually grew, spreading unexpectedly and vigorously across Europe and beyond. The conversion of Emperor Constantine to Christianity in the 4th century was a crucial turning point. Under his rule, the Roman Empire began to adopt Christianity as its official religion, radically transforming the spiritual and cultural landscape of the empire. This transition dealt a severe blow to the fallen angels, forcing them to adapt their strategies once again. With the rise of Christianity as a dominant force, the demons faced the challenge of maintaining their influence over Roman society. They sought to infiltrate the structures of the new faith, distorting doctrines and promoting divisions within the Christian church. Additionally, they continued to exploit moral breaches and human weaknesses, fueling heresies and deviations that threatened the unity and purity of the Christian faith. However, despite the obstacles and adversities, Christianity persevered. Over the centuries, it became the dominant force in medieval Europe and beyond, shaping not only religion but also politics, culture, and Western morality. The struggle between Christianity and demonic influences continued, marking a constant spiritual battle that echoes to this day. Thus, the impact of fallen angels on the Roman Empire and their eventual confrontation with Christianity not only reveals the complexity of human history but also highlights the persistent struggle between the forces of good and evil over the centuries. With the fall of the Roman Empire, Europe plunged into the Middle Ages, a period characterized by constant conflicts, political instability, and a highly stratified society. For the fallen angels, this was fertile ground for sowing discord and exploiting human weaknesses. They influenced events such as the Inquisition, the Crusades, and witch hunts, where fear and ignorance prevailed. The Inquisition, for example, was a vigorous response to perceived heresies, often exacerbated by demonic manipulation to consolidate power and control religious thought. During this dark period, the Crusades were a military and religious effort to reclaim Jerusalem and expand Christian influence in the Middle East. Demons, whispering in the ears of both Christian and Muslim leaders, inflamed passions and rivalries that led to centuries of conflict and bloodshed in the name of faith. The witch hunts, a phenomenon that peaked in the 16th and 17th centuries, were also a manifestation of the influence of fallen angels. Paranoia and fear of the occult were exploited by demons to fuel moral panic and consolidate the power of religious and secular authorities. Many innocents were persecuted and executed under accusations of witchcraft, while demons watched with satisfaction the chaos they had helped incite. However, not everything in the Middle Ages was dark. The end of this period saw the emergence of the Renaissance, a cultural and intellectual movement that marked a revival of knowledge and art in Europe. The fallen angels tried to influence this new era of enlightenment by encouraging the pursuit of power and wealth through knowledge and the arts. Great thinkers like Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo, and Galileo Galilei, despite their personal and religious challenges, questioned established dogmas and sought truth through observation and experimentation. These individuals were inspired by both divine light and the darkness that sought to corrupt them. While the fallen angels tried to promote their agendas through the Renaissance, the human spirit showed resilience. The period witnessed a renewed quest for knowledge, a valuation of reason and science, and a rediscovery of classical works from antiquity that challenged established power structures. Thus, the Middle Ages and the Renaissance not only reveal the ongoing struggle between the forces of good and evil, but also highlight the human capacity to resist manipulation and seek truth, even in the darkest moments of history. The influence of fallen angels, while persistent, met resistance in the brilliant minds that helped shape the modern world. In the modern world, the influence of fallen angels has evolved to adapt to new times, where industrial, technological, and social advancements have created new challenges and opportunities for their intervention. As humanity advanced in science and technology, opening new frontiers of knowledge and power, demons found more subtle and sophisticated ways to influence events and individuals. Industrial revolutions transformed economies and societies, promising prosperity and progress but also creating deep divisions between social classes and exacerbating inequalities. The fallen angels took advantage of these divisions, sowing discord and manipulating political and corporate leaders who sought power and control over resources and territories. The world wars and genocides of the 20th century are vivid testimonies of the shadows that still hover over the human psyche. Brutal conflicts were instigated by extremist ideologies and exacerbated nationalisms, often manipulated by demonic influences that fed on hatred, greed, and unbridled ambition. The dictatorships that emerged in different parts of the world during the past century are clear examples of how fallen angels exploited human weakness and the need for absolute control. Totalitarian regimes suppressed freedom of expression and imposed ideologies that enslaved millions, all while demons whispered in the ears of tyrants, encouraging oppression and violence. In the contemporary scene, the media and the internet have become new battlegrounds where the influence of fallen angels manifests in even more complex ways. Disinformation, fake news, and information manipulation are powerful tools in the hands of demons, distorting truth and sowing discord among peoples and nations. Control of the public narrative has become a vital strategy in the struggle for global domination, where hidden agendas can hide behind seemingly benign speeches. However, just as in past eras, human resistance to these evil influences persists. Social movements, advances in human rights, and the growth of a global consciousness about ethical and environmental issues demonstrate that the light of truth and justice still shines intensely in humanity. Therefore, the modern world is a battlefield where the struggle between good and evil continues, adapting to new challenges and technologies, while the quest for truth and justice continues to guide those who resist the shadows of demonic manipulation. In modern times, the war between angels and demons transcends physical battles and manifests as an invisible, subtle struggle that permeates all spheres of human society. The influence of fallen angels, known as demons, is visible in corrupt political power structures, devastating wars that destroy entire nations, and the growing disparity between the rich and the poor. They operate through extremist ideologies that divide communities, offering simplistic solutions to complex problems, and exploit human greed with empty promises of power and wealth. On the other side of this spiritual war, angels loyal to God continue to work tirelessly. They operate discreetly, inspiring kindness, justice, and peace in the minds and hearts of those who seek the path of righteousness. These angels are silent guides to leaders striving to make ethical and morally correct decisions, invisible protectors of the innocent facing adversity, and tireless advocates for justice against the forces of evil. This invisible battle is fought daily, not only in the corridors of political power or on battlefields, but also in the individual choices each person makes. Every act of compassion, every gesture of solidarity, and every effort for justice represents a confrontation in the spiritual war shaping the destiny of humanity. The consequences of these choices echo beyond the present, influencing the course of history and the fate of future generations. Thus, in the modern world, the invisible war between angels and demons remains a constant reality, where the forces of good and evil struggle for dominion over the hearts and minds of people. While demons sow discord and corruption, God's angels work tirelessly to promote values that uplift and strengthen humanity. This struggle is not merely a theological concept, but a spiritual reality deeply influencing the course of global and individual events. The signs of the times, as described in various religious traditions and prophecies, point to a period of great tribulation and global transformation preceding the final judgment. These signs include devastating natural disasters, widespread armed conflicts, famine crises, and a significant increase in iniquity and moral corruption. Many believe we are living in these tumultuous times, with events around the world seeming to indicate an imminent climax of these prophecies. For the fallen angels, aware that their time of influence is limited, this period represents a crucial opportunity to intensify their efforts. They seek to cause maximum chaos and destruction, in a desperate attempt to divert souls from the path of redemption and salvation. Utilizing modern technology, especially the internet and social media, demons have found a powerful tool to spread misinformation, promote social divisions, and incite conflicts among peoples and nations. The internet, on one hand, connects billions of people worldwide, enabling the sharing of knowledge and instant communication. However, it has also become fertile ground for the spread of conspiracy theories, hate propaganda, fake news, and content that promotes values antithetical to teachings of peace and harmony. This dissemination of misinformation undermines trust in objective truth and fosters skepticism towards institutions and leaders seeking to promote the common good. Additionally, fallen angels exploit human weaknesses through promises of quick power, easy wealth, and simplistic solutions to complex problems. They feed selfishness, greed, and the unrestrained pursuit of temporary pleasures, thereby diverting people from the path of virtue and genuine spirituality. Meanwhile, angels loyal to God continue to work tirelessly to offer spiritual guidance, promote justice, and inspire hope in those who seek to live in harmony with divine principles. They are present in small acts of kindness, in social movements for justice, and in efforts to build a more just and compassionate world. Thus, the signs of the times not only alert us to imminent challenges and tribulations, but also underscore the importance of discerning between influences that promote good and those that perpetuate evil. This is a crucial moment in human history, where individual and collective choices can shape the destiny of future generations, determining whether the light of truth and justice will prevail over the shadows of misinformation and division. The Battle of Armageddon is described in religious traditions as the final confrontation between the forces of good and evil, an event that will decide the ultimate destiny of humanity and the universe. According to biblical prophecies, fallen angels, led by Lucifer, will prepare for a direct confrontation against celestial armies led by the archangel Michael. This epic battle will not only be physical but also spiritual and cosmic, involving the fate of souls and divine order. For the fallen angels, Armageddon represents their last chance to reverse their expulsion and challenge God's authority over the universe. They will prepare with all their might, using strategies developed over centuries to undermine human faith and resistance. Through the manipulation of world leaders, the amplification of global conflicts, and the increase in moral corruption, they hope to weaken humanity's spiritual defenses before the great battle. Meanwhile, angels loyal to God will continue to protect and guide those who remain faithful to the divine light. Michael and his celestial armies will prepare to defend the righteous and confront demonic hordes with courage and determination. The unity between angels and humans will be crucial in this battle, where faith, virtue, and determination to resist demonic temptations will be tested to the limit. On the earthly plane, humans will play a crucial role. Those who choose to follow the path of righteousness and faith will be called to resist the seductions of evil and the trials imposed by demons. Solidarity among people of faith, regardless of their backgrounds or beliefs, will be essential to face the challenges preceding Armageddon and strengthen spiritual defenses against evil influences. Therefore, Armageddon is not just a physical battle but a final test of spiritual and moral values for all humanity. It represents the culmination of a cosmic war between the forces of good and evil, where the choice between divine love and corruption will be decisive for the ultimate destiny of the cosmos. After the decisive battle of Armageddon, where divine forces triumph over fallen angels, a period of redemption and renewal is prophesied. This is a time of judgment, where each soul will be evaluated based on their choices and actions during the great spiritual war. The righteous, those who resisted temptations and remained faithful to divine love, will be rewarded with the promise of eternal life in a new heaven and a new earth. In this new beginning, all creation will be renewed. The pain, suffering, and limitations of the previous world will be overcome, giving way to an existence of peace, harmony, and spiritual fulfillment. Humanity will experience an intimate and direct connection with the divine, restoring the relationship lost since the beginning. Redemption is not limited to humans alone. Fallen angels, even those who chose the path of rebellion, will have the opportunity to repent and seek reconciliation with God. While many have fully embraced evil and chosen eternal separation, divine mercy offers a last chance for those who desire to return to the light. This moment of repentance and reconciliation completes a cycle that began with the original fall of Lucifer and his followers, bringing final closure to the celestial war. For those who accept this opportunity for redemption, a state of eternal harmony and peace is promised. The union between redeemed humanity and celestial angels will be restored, creating a state of perfection that transcends the limitations and conflicts of the previous world. This fulfills divine promises of restoration and renewal, where justice and love prevail over darkness and evil. Thus, redemption and the new beginning represent not only a return to divine grace, but also the final fulfillment of prophecies pointing to the victory of good over evil and the realization of God's plan for humanity and the universe.